Is Sad Beige Baby finally over? That's what we're talking about today, but it might be getting replaced with something that's even worse. Watch out. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the history of Sad Beige Baby, what's coming next, the good in it, and the bad. Today I'm joined once again by Paris.
Do you guys know what Sad Beige Baby is? Have you seen the beige baby, the beige nursery trend that's happening? Where everything is beige or like very neutral, like the rainbows are all like if you zapped the color out of them, if you just like put beige over the rainbow and that's all you have. Variations of gray or beige, grayish.
Honestly, I think if there's any point where Sad Beige could be any sadder, it's when you take the color out of a rainbow.
Yeah, but it's everywhere though. I mean, I do think that is
If
going
there's one
away.
thing to
That
leave alone, yeah.
particular
Oh my
thing
God.
is going away.
What's replacing it? There's some crazy stuff. So first of all, let's just talk. I'll give you a brief overview on how this Sad Beige Baby maybe came about. Certainly the term, at least I read in a Yahoo article, that it came about from a post that was commenting on a beige furniture ad. And the creator, Haley DeRoche, used the Sad Beige reference. She called it the Werner Herzog baby furniture line, which is hilarious. Paris and I, we can't even watch Werner Herzog documentaries. They're like they're too slow, depressing. But very funny video. And she coined this term, apparently Sad Beige Baby, in that video. And then she started an account that was called Sad Beige Baby. And then obviously that was used as a funny commentary on this trend that was happening towards all the Sad Beige stuff. Someone who's been a long-term design nerd, I have my own sort of theory about how this came about. And yes, part of it was that whole sepia photo trend into Instagram. I understand that part, but I think there's another part that comes from just consumer goods in general. I think you had a really good point because you talked about parents wanting to put the nursery together in a way that's more gender neutral.
A lot of us, presumably millennials, have waited a while, but longer than our parents did, a lot of us, to have children. So a lot of us have already developed our style. And a lot of us are trying to kind of fit our babies into our existent style.
Right.
Which I think is where the beige baby goes. Like not willing to give up your style for the baby and wanting the baby to adhere to the style. And then also the push to be gender neutral. You don't know if you're having a boy or girl for a little while, so it's easier to make decisions on something that's beige.
Yeah. if you're starting to do your nursery decor earlier, you only have so many options when you're buying from certain retailers. You have the same things being suggested even on the registry websites, and they're all starting to fit you into this aesthetic, and you actually have to make an active choice to try to go away from it, and your options will be very limited once you try to do that.
Have you actually looked up nursery ideas, like baby nursery ideas on Google?
Or Pinterest.
You will see. I mean, you don't even have to type in Sad Beige Baby. You'll see it. If you just type in baby nursery ideas 2024, it's all Sad Beige Baby. This is what we're talking about. There's very few and far between ideas that are not Sad Beige Baby.
Right. So even though it starts out, maybe as an artifact of both social media and consumer goods choices, then ultimately it becomes fueled by obviously the influencer baby blogs and things like that are sort of setting the style for everybody else. And that's how we end up here, where we've had this sort of long run of Sad Beige Baby. I think there's a lot more focus on products outside of the house. They've always had a darker, like a gray black aesthetic that's gotten more modern, and it also ties into a really strong bold modern look. And I think you're starting to see some of that aesthetic transfer over into some of the other product lines. You could build out a pretty good black and gray nursery, just in terms of baby products now.
Yeah.
There's dark mode.
Yes. Yeah. I think it definitely does make sense, considering that people are more concerned, I think, than ever about their baby's milestones at a very early age.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure that their baby has high contrast images and high contrast things to look at, the dark mode would play into that.
When I say dark mode, what I mean is, like on our computers, on our phones, a lot of the applications and operating systems now, they allow you to like hit the button and switch over into dark mode.
Like
And
inverts.
yes, and I think some of the same things are happening with products, and especially baby products.
Yeah.
We're starting to get more choices in terms of the products. There's more places to buy products. I feel like universal registries in general might be playing a big role in this, because you're not just being funneled to those same 3 places.
Yeah. Babies, they need color. They need that kind of stimulation. So the Sad Beige Baby could be, well, not very good for, not great for babies' development. I mean, just the stimulation. They need color. Children need color.
Or do they need bright artificial colors? Are these like colors that are found in nature? I think there's those kind of questions. Certainly one of the positive aspects with any sort of beige environment is just kind of that spa idea and the calming aspect of it, which I think is why a lot of people gravitate towards it as well.
There's certainly ways to go about compromising between the beige baby and color, and places to do that as well. If color isn't your thing, bright pops of color isn't your thing, well, one place you may not want it is in your main living space or in your kitchen, which you could try and figure that out.
When I was in design school in color class, we were taught that the first color that a baby sees is red. So I think that's another interesting thing.
Yeah. At first they can only see black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very early on they can see red. A lot of little infant books or cards have pops of red in it. And that's why.
Yeah.
Black and white and red.
Do you remember just how fascinated the babies were with those black and white Love Every cards?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
They were just entranced. And this was in the first week.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was pretty incredible. Like, they were working on them.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing now.
Mm-hmm.
What have you started noticing coming into products?
Oh, pops of color, pops of bright colors, which is really exciting and just gives you a little burst of serotonin just to see them. Just pops of bright colors. I don't know. I like the neon colors, but even like the greens and pinks and reds and blues and teals and things like that. It's just it's really, really nice to see, especially in combination, I would say, with the beige baby.
Yeah, like if you think about like our rookie human sheets, which are like bright and colorful, it's kind of nice because there's no other decor obviously anymore in a crib. It's just the sheet. Mm-hmm. Just keep it that way. Keep all the other stuff out, even if it makes you feel good. Keep the mobiles away. Keep obviously any blankets and pillows away, way, way from that. So it's nice just to be able to have a bright pop of color there.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yep. We definitely enjoyed those sheets. They're definitely fun. I love them. Baby products. I mean, once you go down that road, it's so easy to find things that would be cohesive. And honestly, at a better price point, because the Sad Beige Baby has gotten way expensive. It's good for you, especially for mothers. Like postpartum can be tough, really tough. So just that little boost of color it makes you feel good. It's just a good feeling to.
Mm-hmm. I think everyone's going to be maybe a little bit different in that regard. Like, what do you want in your environment? But I think one thing to think about is that, even if there's a trend, and whether it's color, whether it's Sad Beige Baby, just understanding that everybody's not the same.
Yeah.
And you need to go with what makes you happy, what feels good for you.
And I would say also, I think it's really important to not feel pressured to make things gender neutral. We waited a long time to have babies, and you might have a daughter and just really want to give her, like a girly room. Do it. Do that. or not. You don't have to.
I was gonna say, like, just as
do you?
as an interior designer, my pretty much my first take, unless it was specifically requested by a client, would not be to do a very gendered pink blue room. I just maybe some other point, but I mean,
But
there's
if you let's say you want to do like daisies all over.
yeah.
Like paint the wall pink and like put daisies. That would be adorable. Like that's not. I mean, that's technically it's gendered and probably super gendered, but it'd be so cute. Eventually, they'll be able to choose their own thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think whether boy or girl, I think a very interesting style would be to do like an ultra masculine nursery that had like really dark blue like walls and like deep red accents. That would be pretty sweet. A lot of change in texture and like do some like really high gloss lacquers on some surfaces and things like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That are we gonna talk about that trend at all?
Is there what trend? Which one?
Pattern is like texture. Like the pattern is the texture.
Yeah.
It's not a different color that is the pattern. It's the texture is the pattern. And it's like
yeah. In design we would call that your haptic sense. You know, that you can see something but like part of that, even if you can't touch it, you have like a feeling of what that surface is.
Yeah.
In the nursery space, that haptic aspect, the texture, the touch, the feel, even if it isn't something you're touching all the time, has become very important.
Yeah. Even the way that things interact with light too, like the translucency of materials, is also plays into it and makes it interesting, for sure. Kind of like stained glass or things like that, or sheer fabrics.
Well, and one thing that just a lot of people don't really realize too is when you use certain materials, and this can really happen with aluminum, and you see like more and more aluminum in products. Yeah. But with wood as well and some other types of fabric or other types of textures is that the what's called the value, the light to dark of that color can change dramatically depending on which way the light hits it.
Yeah.
So even in these more like monochromatic environments, like the Sad Beige nursery, using that texture, you actually start to get some like change in value depending on what the lighting scenario is in the room.
Yep. Well, I mean, yeah, there's a way to do it. Okay, so if you want a Sad Beige nursery, maybe seek inspiration from like a sunset. You know, look for things that look good in sunset lighting.
Okay, so say you don't want to do a Sad Beige nursery, but you want to incorporate more texture and you want to make that work. So what can that start to look like?
Okay, well let's say you have a blank slate. You have just a blank room, whitish, like off-white, like what they usually paint them. Plain, normal room. That's going to be your nursery. You could do a lot of things. Well, since it is a nursery, you're probably going to have a blackout curtain. You'll want to get a blackout curtain. And so decide like what that would look like to you. And then if you do want to play with light, you could actually either paint or put up like cellophane or something of that type on the window to look like stained glass with different colors in certain areas. That would be really cool to just add like bits of color. Or even if you live close, if you want some privacy and be able to like open up the window, there are some really cool privacy frosted window glass that it looks like jewels, like gems kind of. It's rainbows when it comes through. So like all the light around the room would give off like rainbow light. Like rainbows all over. Yeah. Which would be amazing. That'd be amazing.
Okay. I'm like, okay, I don't know.
You don't like it.
No, I don't know. What I would like to see a lot more in nurseries is think about your own heritage and like ways that you can bring that in.
Yeah.
We had some of that for you with the dollar horses and stuff, but there might be like different accessories and decor that you can put on that high shelf or something that become a part of that. Obviously, the first thing you want to think about with your nursery is safety.
Yes.
Like and go to the nth degree. Like you think you got everything covered, take another step through it. Look up the expert information on making your nursery safe. We're not giving extensive safety advice.
No.
Definitely go seek out those resources. It's very important, and keep that first. But then beyond that, like think about bringing in some personality and bringing in some things that are personal to you, because you know that'll feel good. And also, like we've noticed, like over those first couple years,
Yeah.
you start explaining those stories to your baby, or in our case our babies, and telling them where these things come from, and that's fun for parents and for kids.
Yeah. They're interested in it. It's the first time they're hearing about it, so it's fun.
Okay, should we have this discussion on natural materials and why they're not things that are advertised as better aren't always when it comes to all natural? That's a big discussion.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Your eco nursery isn't as
Yeah.
eco as you might think.
yeah, I think we should touch on that later because, like, I'd like to point out things that.
Just subscribe, because we'll have an episode. Paris is a fibers arts. That's her background.
I majored in fibers. Yeah.
We'll have a full episode on that and talk about some of the greenwashing in the baby product space, and also some of the health claims that may not be
Yeah.
all that they're all that they claim to be.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's the trend. We're seeing dark mode, we're seeing texture, we're seeing pops of color, but we're also seeing it take a really weird turn in some places in some of the stuff you see. And some of it is like you don't have to go very far, because it's even at IKEA.
It's kind of starting with the beige baby, where people are getting pops of color in the form of stripes. And they've already got like the tent kind of looking thing. And they're like, hey, let's incorporate a few animals. And then the companies are like,
Yeah. It's going they're having that next revelation.
well, they're pushing it. They're starting to push it.
Actually, this was a thing that was big when I was a baby.
Same. And it weirded me out.
This was a thing when I was a baby, but it wasn't stripes as much. There was stripes, but it was polka dots too.
I feel like that's probably
That's
gonna
next.
come next. It's gonna come next. Oh no, don't say it.
Yeah, like colorful polka dots.
I think we
Like
just need to
gray
put a
and-
lid on it. They think it's going in this direction, and guys, let's make sure it doesn't. I don't think anyone wants this.
Okay, so stripes.
know what it is.
Okay, stripes are one thing. Where is this leading?
All right, should we just get out there and
Oh,
say
yeah,
it?
yeah. So, polka dots, stripes, pops of color. Where's all this headed?
Tents. And guess what? There's pom poms, and there are animals.
Are you getting the idea?
Well,
There's animals.
a circus. It's a circus, and guess what? You can get mounted heads with circus animals.
No. Where are you finding this stuff?
Just look. It's so bad.
Okay, please tell me the answer to Sad Beige Baby isn't circus taxidermy.
Well, they're some places. IKEA is trying to do it.
No.
Yeah. Yes. So, guys, just don't buy it. Don't buy into it. Let's not do this. Let's not go this way. For a long time, there's been like the trend of like the canopy. It's like a canopy thing. It's like a bug net. A bug net.
Oh,
Canopy.
yeah.
It kind of looks like a castle.
To ward off malaria.
Yeah, but it kind of like some people think, oh, it kind of looks like a castle. So they're like, oh, they put it in like a little girl's room or whatever, and like you would like have like tassels.
Yeah.
Well, that is starting to take weird directions.
Oh,
Go into carnival tents. So bad. Yeah. So I mean, guys, this is not the answer. No jugglers, please. No clowns. We don't need like bears with like floofy collars.
Obviously, there was none of that for a while, and clowns were like really scary because you had like you had It, It 2. You had American Horror Story had like a circus theme. So I feel like with that, like that was pretty much that was No Clouds, Goosebumps.
No, and then there was the whole thing with the
It wasn't that
clowns.
long ago.
There was the clowns that were like scaring people on playgrounds, scaring kids, like
Oh yeah,
standing
I
there with
forgot about
knives
that.
and
Oh my
stuff, like in
god,
real life.
that's awful.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. But I guess people just forgot, and now we're gonna go like straight up carnival for our
Oh.
children's bedrooms. I don't think so. Let's not do that, please.
There's other things you can do, like avoid this if
No,
you can.
I mean, you can love animals. You can have animals. You can even put a tent. Later on, you could potentially put a tent when they're like older. But yeah, you can like decorate with like animals or whatever, however you want to incorporate like animals in it. There's a billion ways to do that. Bright colors, things like that. Just don't go carnival.
Like looking at like just art and design and circus, like there's cool stuff, like for sure. But the animal thing confuses me because I thought the world was moving in a different direction, away
Yeah.
from circus animals and
I
like
think
animals in captivity
I
in
think this is a
general.
misunderstanding by I think few influencers probably, and and then a few corporations, and hopefully it just dies quickly because this is not going to happen.
Yeah.
I can't see this possibly going anywhere. I mean, the amount of people who are actually terrified of clowns is large. It's not that cute. I thought it was creepy when I was a kid, and I still think it's creepy. There's so many directions to go, and that's
Yeah.
not the one.
It's one that you might think is like safe from a narrative standpoint, but really when you dig into it, it's not all that safe. What I would do instead is, if that's the way you want to go, I would think more along the lines of story. Like build, like think of your room in terms of a story, and that could be one that's like something that's like special to you, whether that's coming from a favorite book that you had as a child, whether that's coming out of your own heritage, whether that's coming from a different place. Instead of building that, that Barnum and Bailey, Ringling Brothers thing.
Yeah. I do think that it's important to say you don't have to have a theme. If you don't want to have a theme, you don't have to. I know
No,
for
right.
birthday parties, that's been a thing too. For children's birthday parties, there's been large pushes for themes, having everything be themed. You don't
Yeah.
have to do that. You can do what you want to do. Design your nursery in the way that makes you feel good.
I think the fun thing in terms of nursery design, if you're not a designer and you want to do something, is just feel free to make it eclectic.
Mhm.
And sometimes even if you are a designer, that's sort of a better way to do it. We definitely did that, pulling in more personal items. The kids had special rocks
Yeah.
and their tassels,
Uh-huh.
and things that were unique to them that are way more important than any Instagram photo that you could get out of like pointing to a certain corner in the nursery. Instead of going for a theme, instead of going for a motif or even a trend, I want to encourage, keep it personal to you. Obviously, safety first.
Yeah. Safety.
The second one would be to make it a place that makes you happy and that you feel good in.
Yes.
And if that goes outside of a trend, God bless you.
Uh-huh.
The third thing would be to go into a concept or go into even if you want to go into a theme, make it something that's personal to you and that you're going to appreciate. Even if you want to share that on social media, it's going to mean a lot more because it's an expression of yourself and not just an expression of how much better, how much worse you are able to do a variation on a trend versus someone else on the internet. Sad Beige Baby, probably not over, but man, there's some weird things coming down the line that are trying to eclipse it. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Hey, real quick, right now, and for a limited time, we have the Baby Registry Basics mini course available on Pabit.com for free. This won't be available much longer, but in my opinion, it's the best resource I've seen for getting up to speed with what you really need to know when creating your baby registry. Staying true to your vision, universal registries, completion discounts, welcome boxes, all of that stuff. If you're welcoming your first, congratulations. You don't need to search all over the internet. That's why we do this. Go to pabit.com/5day and sign up for the free mini course.